Mark. Hello everybody, and welcome to Judge Mathas, and today on trial stands Stranded. Stranded's an interesting little conundrum of a game because it's really hard for me to call it a game, but it's something I've enjoyed quite thoroughly in my little time I've played of it so far. Stranded more appeals to the people who enjoyed games like Proteus. It's more about exploration, atmosphere, and patience of the player to explore the world the developer has placed before you without really doing much interaction with it, and just enjoying what is being presented and maybe trying to figure out the story that is so subtly being told to you through the game. But if you're one of those players who is desperately looking for gameplay mechanics, this is not going to be a game that is going to appease you, because there are very little. In fact, the game kind of takes on the guise of a point-and-click adventure. You kind of just click where you want to go and move around the world through that. But there's no puzzles, there's no interaction. It's just kind of soaking it all in. So the story is you are, what I can tell anyway, an astronaut of some sort or a space traveler of some sort whose ship has crash landed on some sort of alien world, and now I'm just kind of exploring it and seeing what it's all about. This is the opening screen. I have one tank of oxygen remaining, and we're going to have to release the doors. So let's go ahead and click and release our guy. And there we go. Pod doors released. Now this is a little different than last time I played. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Last time, the core and the engine, only the core had an X through it. The engine, only the engine had an X through it. The core and auxiliary were both fine. So let's head outside in the world and see what's going on. Ah, okay. So this is actually picking up after last I played. It doesn't start a new game. There's only one save file, and the game only picks up from there, which actually is a little bit disappointing to find out. I feel like, especially for videos, you want to do something a little bit different. You kind of want to start a fresh new game. But either way, we're on our second night. The game has two cycles, day and night, and to go to bed every night, you have to go into your ship and you go into your pod. Now it looks like the ship is going to be kind of inaccessible, but this is the game. It is a pixelated art, kind of retro style looking game. The sound and music design in this game are absolutely superb. It really layers on the atmosphere that you are in this strange unknown world and you don't know what the hell's going on and you're trying to figure it out. This land is obviously littered with, or not littered with, populated with rather, these stone-like creatures who kind of just stand around. They don't really do much. Every day they're kind of in a different place and you're not exactly sure what's happening. Again, since there's no real interaction with the game, you can't really interact with them. I can click on them, but nothing happens. So to move around, you can only click and you kind of move, and he's off to do whatever. And each screen, this is a little bit of a complaint of mine right away, is because this game kind of takes on this point-and-click adventure feel, you can only click in certain areas of the map. In each portion of the map, there seems to be about 4 or 5 areas I can move my character in, and that kind of is the end of it. I really would have enjoyed, particularly for a game like this that's trying to immerse me, I would have loved to have WASD controls and just be able to walk around the world itself. You don't really need to have a point-and-click style game when point-and-click adventure type puzzles and stuff are not really present within the game itself. Truly would have enjoyed being able to just walk around with WAS and D. I don't understand the design decision there. It actually kind of pulls me personally out of the experience because I feel like I am very limited in where I can go. I can only go over here, here, and in the center, and then I can pick to go left, up, or right depending on what routes are available to me, instead of allowing me to just kind of explore it in my own pace. Even though there's really not much for me to look at, to just have complete control over my character helps me immerse myself in these particular worlds. And I think, again, I'm going to be comparing this to Proteus because they're very similar in that regard. Proteus really did a fantastic job giving me that sense of immersion while stripping away all of the, essentially stripping away all gameplay elements. There was not a lot of gameplay there. You just wandered and you explored and you enjoyed. Again, Stranded is going to be for a very niche audience. This is not going to be for everybody, but for those who it is going to be for, I feel like it's important for me to point out that it is point and click at its core, and there is not a lot you can do about that, unfortunately. So as you explore the planet, we actually will have a map we could take a look at. If we actually click on our character, we could pop up a map. Now, the map, the fully bright square is where we are. and these are where we have explored so far. And the map seems to reset every day, which is kind of strange. Now, what I've noticed is that actually the map, I might just be stupid, but it seems like the map actually changes, like the planet is actually changing every time. Other than that, these squares really don't give you much of an idea of what's going on. For instance, these two, the only thing I've been able to decipher is these two are the same shape. What this is the inside of the ship, and this is the outside of the ship. This is like the tile of inside, outside, and then this is the one I came from. Not incredibly useful, not incredibly, you know, helpful. Let's head inside here and see what's going on in here. Now, there are buildings littered around each one of these, and at night, they do this. You can walk in and they light up and they glow, and you know, this weird thing happens. That's about it though. Like, we can't actually do anything else in this building, which is a little bit frustrating. I would love to know or be able to explore a little bit more, but there's nothing else here. That's it. During the day, you can come to these buildings as well, but they don't light up like this. Only at night do they light up like this. And I don't know if there is actually a purpose to it or not. For a little while, I thought there was like a little bit of a puzzle, and maybe there still is some sort of purpose to these buildings. And the reason I say that is because they only light up at night, and there is a building somewhere in the world that actually lights up the colors of the lights of the buildings you visited. So, for instance, that one lights up green. If I get to the other two buildings, they will light up blue and red, and then that one other building will light up all three of those colors. So it almost feels like there is some sort of puzzle mechanic here. And here's this building. Now, I'm gonna go into it. Before, it was blocked off by one of those stone giant creatures who was just kind of laying there, kind of looking dead, and now is opened. Okay, so this is what this is. So this is the map isn't changing. So this is an interesting building in itself, because obviously these three are gonna light up certain things. So let's actually go and see if we can light them up. But I don't want the game to end. I don't want to spoil it. So in fact, I might not do that. But I do want to show you the world. Now, one of my other complaints about the game, it's a little complaint, is that the world is actually kind of small. There's not a lot to look at. Once you have the map down, if we actually take a look, once he's done moving, I'll show you the map here. So the way the map actually ends up going is kind of like the circle area. There's going to be an area from here we can go down, and it kind of loops around. And that's about it. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can say there's about 10 explorable tiles, 3 building tiles, maybe 4 building tiles, and like the ship tile. And that's about it. There's not much else there. And I know I sound like I might be kind of complaining a little bit about the game, and I think I'm complaining about the game because I really enjoy these styles of game, and I'm actually enjoying Stranded. This is something that I can pop on and play. The difference between something like this and Proteus is that Proteus is a lot more, I guess, replayable for me. I know this is going to sound really weird. Proteus was, if you remember, one of my top games of 2013 or 2012. I think it was 2013, whenever the end of that game ended up coming out. And I really, really liked it. It was easily one of my favorite games. It hit my top 10. And I, to this day, still have that game installed, and every once in a while will end up going back to that game and playing it because I enjoy that world. It is, you know, it's fun for me to just wander on that island of music and colors and interesting things to look at. And though Stranded definitely falls into that category of explorable, adventure-y, kind of just atmospheric, story-centric type of game, I feel like Stranded is going to be that game that once I've finished it, I might not actually end up going back to. And I think a lot of that is actually the limitation of the point and click. If this was this is gonna sound so silly, but if this was a WASD controlled system, it wouldn't feel so tedious. But for me, the point and click control scheme is just very tedious. I don't enjoy it. I feel like I'm just clicking and then watching, and then nothing else is going on. Like, that's just what I do, you know? Like, I can't control him. I don't have direct control over him. I click, and then my hands are off everything, and I don't do anything anymore. That's where that disconnect comes from me. And for these types of games, I crave that immersion. I crave that connection with the character and the world, especially if you're gonna make a game where there's no, there's no real gameplay to speak of. It's all about that exploration. You can have a beautiful world and a beautiful music and a beautiful aesthetic and this beautiful art style, but if I am not connected with this character, if I am not connected with this world, it doesn't matter how beautiful it looks, it can get boring. And Stranded borderlines that it straddles that line between really absolutely beautiful and moody and interesting and borderline tedious. And that's my complaint, that's my problem. I can feel myself enjoying aspects like this world, this alien world is so interesting to me. I want to know more about it, I want to know what's going on, and I want to spend time exploring it and absorbing its music, which changes daily, absorbing its sights, absorbing its surroundings, watching these alien creatures move around and almost seem like they might be leading me somewhere every time they kind of get up and walk when they see me. You know, I want that to be part of that, but it's such a simple thing, the point and click, just really drags me away from it. And I love point and clicks, man. I love it. Look at Telltale's games. I adore those games. But those games allow me to move around. Those games allow me choices. Those games have the benefit, I guess, of being able to be you know, actual or have the layer of some gameplay mechanics while, you know, the story and the world changes with my decisions, while something like this, where it's all about this linearity, this linear, you know, progression, is yanking me away by literally just me being able to just go click and then not doing anything. Just click and I don't do anything. You know, I find myself clicking and minimizing the game and waiting for my character to do what he's supposed to do and then coming back after. And that's... I want to enjoy this game, and again, there are parts of this game that I'm enjoying. I am enjoying it. I just want more. And it's so crazy that the one thing I'm harping on is that simple control scheme. I feel like that simple control scheme where I am engaged and I am directly controlling this space traveler who all he does is breathe heavily and walk with plodding steps. All of that is you know, all of that is just ripped away from me by just being a point and click. So let's go into this building. Let's see what's going on in here. I'm actually curious. All right. I apologize for cutting away there. Actually, that was the end of the game, and that was a very interesting way to actually end the game. The game took me about 45 minutes to an hour to complete. I'm not sure if there are multiple endings. I tried to do a little quick Google search on it and I couldn't find anything, which is not terribly surprising. But I do not want to spoil it. It is, if you do plan on getting this game, I will say that that ending is pretty goddamn good. For such a short game and with such a limitation on what it allows. But I do want to wrap this up, obviously, and I don't want to spoil anything else, so what I cut away from, I apologize. If you want to know more, please check it out, man. If this is your type of game, check it out. It is, I think it's worth it if you're into this style of game, and I think that's what it all boils down to. If you are a fan of the Proteus style of game or the Dear Esther style of game, where you are not necessarily playing, you are just kind of directing the camera as the story plays out before you. If that's something you enjoy, I do think you will find enjoyment in Stranded. It is on Steam now for $8.99 for its beginning week, and $10 normally, or your regional equivalent. It is an experience. It is an experience that I will say I mostly enjoyed, and though I do wish there were some design decisions that were made differently, such as the point and click not being point and click and rather it being a WASD controlled kind of situation, I will say that I did enjoy this beautiful, beautiful world, this absolutely alien and strange planet that you are forced to explore, and that ending gave me actually a little bit to think about. Very interesting. It was a very interesting ending to a game like this. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this Judge Mathas. There's obviously not a whole bunch to talk about as far as the gameplay mechanics, but I do hope I gave you a little bit of insight as to what this game brings forth. If you want it, the link to the Steam purchase will be in the description below. And I thank you all for coming. I hope you guys come back tomorrow for more videos just like this one, and consider leaving a like. It helps me out a great deal. And as always, I'll see all of you guys next time. Bye-bye.